Upfront and Outspoken with Bob Williams. If you love the Constitution,
man is not free unless government is limited.
If you love freedom,
as government expands, liberty contracts.
If you believe in personal responsibility, if you believe America is still the greatest nation on earth, then get ready for an experience you'll never forget. This is Upfront and Outspoken. Here's your host, Bob Williams.
And welcome back, TGIF. Happy first day of spring, whatever you want to call it. This is Upfront Outspoken. Now, I have my panel of guests that that are holding on Skype. I have something that they haven't heard. They have no idea what I'm going to be talking about today, except one of them. And I'm not going to say who it is because he knows who he is. Because I swear to God, this guy is psychic. Now, as you know, just before I went into the last segment, at the end of the conclusion of the last segment, I said there are two things you do not talk about at the kitchen table. One of them is politics, and the other one is religion. Now, I found this clip, and I want to get everybody's opinion about it, and I know it's going to be a very interesting hour, because we're going to break that taboo. That's right. We're going to break that taboo. But first, I want these guys to hear what we're talking about. And this is courtesy of one of the, I would consider, a genius of comedy. And I'm talking about none other than George Carlin.
In the bullshit department, a businessman can't hold a candle to a clergyman. Because I got to tell you the truth, folks. I got to tell you the truth. When it comes to bullshit, big time, major league bullshit, you have to stand in awe of the all-time champion of false promises and exaggerated claims, religion. No contest. No contest. Religion easily has the greatest bullshit story ever told. Think about it. Religion has actually convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything you do every minute of every day. And the invisible man has a special list of 10 things he does not want you to do. And if you do any of these 10 things, he has a special place full of fire and smoke and burning and torture and anguish where he will send you to live and suffer and burn and choke and scream and cry forever and ever till the end of time. But he loves you. He loves you and he needs money. He always needs money. He's all powerful, all perfect, all knowing, and all wise. Somehow, just can't handle money. Religion takes in billions of dollars, they pay no taxes, and they always need a little more. Now, you talk about a good bullshit story. Holy shit.
All right, at that point, like I said, we're going to be breaking the second taboo of religion. Joining me now via Skype is author, activist, and host of his own show, Passionate Justice, Jonathan Wolfman. Talk show host of his own program, Open Talk, Leslie Jackson, and of course, Fred Brower of the Fred Brower Report. Welcome back, guys. Glad to have you. So are you ready to break that second taboo?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah. And I want to say good morning to everybody on the first day of spring from snowing Washington, D.C.
You're supposed to be getting about 6 inches of snow, Jonathan, so you better get that shovel, haven't you?
Bob, we're getting it.
All right, guys. Now, you heard George Carlin, and I want to get everybody's opinion because we have heard of these mega churches. In fact, one recently was asking for $65 million to buy a Gulfstream jet. And yet, if you go through the Bible, Jesus was lucky if he could afford a pair of sandals. So, is Carlin right? Who wants it to be the first one to take to the plate?
Oh, I'll take it. I think he's absolutely right. I think that there is an unending ability for the American people and probably people around the world to be hoodwinked, fooled, gypped, because the need for people to sign on to that kind of nonsense is endless. It's a bottomless pit.
Who else now?
Sure. I do agree. I do agree with you, John. There is definitely a bamboozlement of man's greed that is creeping into our religion.
All right, Fred?
It's an open, free market, and you got 70% of the American public still defines itself as Christian or religious. And, I'd like to point out that Creflo Dollar, and this is the guy that's asking for this Gulfstream jet. The jet that he is asking for is the Rolls Royce. It is the Bentley of private business jets.
Oh, well, why don't we just get him a lesser model? I mean, he ought to be happy with that.
Well, I was thinking...
Actually, he could do that. There are business jets, same size, same speed, same propulsion as that, but they don't come with the all-leather interior and the wet bars and he could get the same jet for $15 million or $20 million.
Yeah, but
yes,
the thing...
But maybe Jesus spoke to him and told him he needed the Rolls Royce.
Okay, well, here's my question. Why can't he just go coach? What's wrong with flying coach?
Well, because he's a man of God.
Well, the reason he uses this jet, and I researched this, I looked into it, he flies into undesirable areas, and he brings food, and he does do good things, but he could do the same thing with a $15 or $20 million just standard business jet. This Gulfstream is what this is what Trump uses and entertains billionaire real estate moguls.
Yeah, but the thing is here though, Fred, is
but then why doesn't he pay for it himself damn self?
Well, the thing is,
good.
Here's the thing I got to ask you guys. All right, we've heard about, I'm not, I mean, granted, I brought up that particular incident, but we've heard it throughout time. I mean, come on, Jimmy Swaggart, the PTL Club, all these other organizations, although the first two I mentioned did indeed collapse. But I'm just saying, there are these mega churches out there, okay, who, in my opinion, overall, are basing their desire, their supposed need for extravagance, and saying, well, God told me to. Come on, give me a break here. I mean, I'm not a religious guy, and I'm the first one to admit it. But since when do people need mega millions of dollars to quote unquote spread the word? And I think we just lost Leslie. But the thing is since when do we need that mega millions in order? Okay, now I give up with this. I don't know if everybody's here or not.
I'm here.
All right. Well, anyhow, since when do we need this mega millions to spread the word, so to speak?
You see, the question again seems to me is, obviously they don't need it to spread the word. The real question is, what is it about the American psychology, the American history, American culture, that makes us such everyday born suckers for this crap?
That's just it. I mean, correct me if I'm mistaken. Yeah, evidently Leslie's got some problems on his end because, it keeps dropping his call. So he must have some issues on his end. But anyhow, the point being is, since when do we need this money, like George Carlin was saying, in order to spread the word? Isn't that being hypocritical of what the Bible actually says?
Of course.
Absolutely.
So what do? What do people what does people do to overcome this belief that I have to give everything, including my house, to spread the word? I mean, come on.
It's not, obviously it's not just religion. I remember when my beloved Philadelphia Eagles went to the Super Bowl against the Patriots in, what was it, '03. There were these people, not very wealthy, working class guys in South Philly who were stupid enough to mortgage their homes to get Super Bowl tickets just to go see their Eagles lose by a field goal. So it is unending what people will do with their money just to feel good. And that's what this is about. These mega churches know very well that there is a sucker born every minute, that they're not delivering them anything but feel good. And if people want to pay for that kind of feel good, I suppose, the libertarian in Fred is going to say, let them do with their money whatever they want to do with their money. But there does come a point, and this is what I think you're implying, Bob, there does come a point where the free market does become fraud, and that's a hard line to determine exactly when it becomes fraud, when free will is taken over by fraud. But isn't that what we're really talking about, trying to find that line and where it is?
Well, the other thing is Abraham Lincoln said you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And in my opinion, isn't this what religion is? It is, like George Carlin said, it is something we grab a hold of to a invisible being that 1 minute is telling us, you're going to be doing this and you're going to go to hell, but yet I love you. But yet don't forget to send me the money. I mean, how hypocritical is religion?
No, and then there are, of course, the people who distinguish between religion as institutions who do that horrible crap, and people who say that, well, on the one hand there's that, and on the other hand there's this very pure spirituality that individual people do feel. And I don't feel myself that, but I don't necessarily distrust it when other people say they feel spiritually towards something. I do begin to distrust it, and very mightily, when all of a sudden somebody's asking me to write a check.
Now, Fred, you were been trying to say something here. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, my question all the time for the religious debate is why do so many, and I'll say Americans because that's where we live, why do so many Americans, they need an entity to believe in? I loved what Ed Till said. Ed Till says all the time, what's wrong with just being a good human? Why do you need this mythical entity to believe in? And guys like Joel Osteen and Creflo Dollar, and they've built this multi-million-dollar empire feeding on that American need to believe in an entity. Now, granted, they only need to get 20 or $30 out of each person, and suddenly they have $10 million. I mean, it's a scam. It's a business.
Well, of course, it goes back to, and it's obviously, we all know it's not new. It goes back well even before the Billy Sundays of the 1920s.
Sure.
The other thing is when I was in catechism class, I guess you could say, when I was growing up, we were taught that here, Christ, in some religions he's classified as a prophet, and others he's a savior, and in others he hasn't come yet. But the thing is we've all been taught that he lived off the land. Okay, basically that's exactly what he did. He lived off the land. He walked to all these places to do this. But today we're hearing from these churches, I need millions of dollars in order to spread the word. I need a jet. I need this yacht. I need this, elaborate, empire, in my opinion, we lost Leslie completely. This elaborate empire to spread the quote unquote gospel. So my question is, where in time did we lose the concept of a religion being a good thing to suddenly the mega millions are needed? Where in time did this first happen?
Well, I don't know where in time it first happened, but I want to relay a conversation I had on Facebook just the day before yesterday, and it was a debate over the Creflo Dollar $60 million jet thing, and I watched this supporter for Creflo Dollar actually get profaned and belligerent and rabid over those of us that were saying, why can't he just buy a $10 million jet? Why can't he just buy a $15 million jet? I mean, people ended up having to block this supporter that she just got insane about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, isn't there a hypocrisy here? I mean, you're hearing
you
this?
ask Bob, when could this have started to really snowball like this? And I'm going to try to come up with an idea here. Tell me what you think of this. I think it has to do with the invention of radio, then TV, then the internet. And I think the ability to put your voice away from where you're sitting, which is what radio did. Terry Gross on her show on NPR interviewed a guy years ago who was in what was called border radio in Texas. And border radio, because they were broadcasting right across the border from Texas in Mexico, they didn't have to follow any of the even early rules from the FCC. This was in around 1920. And he called himself, she interviewed him, and he had called himself a reverend, and of course he wasn't. And he claimed to make millions back then off of Mexicans, Texans, Arizonans, and she actually asked him this question: what was your biggest seller? Because he had said they sold a lot of junk. And he said, our biggest seller by far was 8x10 glossy black and white photographs autographed by Jesus.
The thing that what the whole question is everybody falls on religion, and I guess that's the basic element of what I'm trying to get at here today. Everybody, and at some point in time, you may be an atheist, you may be whatever, but at some point in your life, you will say either God did this to me, or God did that. I need God's help. Who is God? Number one, and secondly, granted, in today's society, and it happened, thousands and thousands of years ago, there was a point in time where people indeed did say religion is what held together the fabric of society, because you needed this invisible supreme being to bring some stability. But the question is there really a God? I mean, come on here. I mean, you die, you're dead. I mean, so where did we get to the point where this invisible being takes up so much of us and then hits our pocketbook?
Well, it's an easy explanation, for one. It's a scapegoat. It's an easy answer for a lot of people. Well, how did this happen? Well, God did it. Well, how are we going to fix this? Well, God will do it. It's an easy explanation. But as far as these, John's right, I think. as far as these multi-million-dollar evangelists, it's the ability to market the product now, whereas they couldn't do that quite so well 100 years ago. Now Joel Osteen can come to you on the TV and on the radio and on the internet, and there's 100 different ways where he can get $1 out of your pocket. But in my opinion, it's almost predatory.
So
it's predatory because here you have a guy that's preaching the word of God, so to speak, and he targets your fears and your sicknesses and your insecurities, and he provides you with a solution. For $25.95, you can get the solution. I mean, do you guys remember Ernest Angley?
I do.
Remember Ernest Angley? I mean, he would put his hand on their forehead and shake around and then all of a sudden say, "Oh, she's cured of deafness."
yeah, but the thing is half of those people came right back later, and nothing changed, or they were found to be con artists. I mean,
yeah, but the
yes,
audience isn't watching then.
No,
but
that's
there's
just
an
it.
endless. There's an endless. You see, you're asking, Bob, a very reasonable question. That is, after all, in effect, I think you're asking, after all of these frauds have been shown to be frauds, and yet why do people still fall for it? Because there's an endless need for reassurance. And if you have the kind of personality and the kind of pizzazz and the kind of reach, then you're going to be reassuring those who do need it. Look, our greatest American literature, Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain smack in the middle of Huckleberry Finn, and it takes place, of course, in the 1840s. The story takes place in the 1840s, has two unforgettable characters, the King and the Duke, who are just low-life swindlers, and they mainly make their money by going from one hick town in Arkansas, Missouri, what have you, to another, setting up tent revivals. They are no more religious men than my cat is a religious preacher.
So
and they make money on it, and that was back in the 1840s. This goes way back.
Yeah, but the thing is we're hearing a lot about these swindlers, okay? And you brought up a very interesting point. It seems that, you know, and I could vouch for this personally. You know, there's a guy that has, you know, come to me. He has said right out, "I'm Mr. Religious." He pops the Bible. He makes quotations out of it. And yet, in the next breath, he says, "F you, F this, F everybody else, F whoever." You know, the thing that I guess is really gets under my crow is you have these quote-unquote Bible thumpers who are 1 minute praising God and condemning you for your activity, yet in the next minute are dropping the F-bomb, are going to the bar, getting drunk, or are demanding billions or millions of dollars. How hypocritical is religion today? I mean, this is crazy.
It's terribly hypocritical, and I guess the only point, or the main time when I get fired up about it, is when these people want to write our civil laws, when they want to unduly influence or outright write our education laws, health laws, all sorts of law. When they want to say that our religion, whatever my religion happens to be, is so true, is so right, is so perfect, that in fact I'm going to use the laws of the Congress of the United States to infuse the United States, because that's what God wants me to do, is to turn, not Sharia law. Yeah, there are some people who would want the old question of Sharia law, Muslim law, to run the United States. But I'm much more concerned, frankly, of the right-wing Christians who want their laws
You know, the thing
running the United States, because frankly there's so many more of them and they have much more influence than the Muslims do here.
But the thing is I'm not picking on a particular religion. You know, don't get me wrong. I'm not picking on a particular religion. If it works for you, okay, whatever. if it works, it works. Whatever. Allah be blessed, or whatever the hell they want to say. But for those of us who are realistic about all of this, we look at the big picture. We look at the core issues, and the core issues seem to be that even though you, on the one hand, you have these people, throwing the Bible, throwing verse. I can cite chapter and verse. I mean, I'm not stupid. I can throw chapter and verse at these same people who are condemning me, and I can throw it right at them, but I'm not religious. I'll be the first one to stand on a podium and say, hey, look, guys, I'm not religious. But before you throw your religion, your belief system, your anything down my throat, you better look at the Bible, because somewhere in that book, does it or does it not say, judge not, lest ye be judged, and he who be without sin cast the first stone. So why are people so inclined to shove their belief system down our throat? Brad, take it on.
That's why they want to take over public education. Because I think there's two reasons they want to take over public education. One is because they're cheap, and they don't want to have to pay tuition to a private school. I think they are basically cheap, and they want to turn the public schools into religious schools so that they can fulfill what they consider their duty to whatever their notion of God is, but also because they want a free education, but they want it to be their religious education, which they're too damn cheap to pay for. There are private schools. Nobody here says you can't send your kid to a private school.
All right, Fred, take it on.
Or you can homeschool.
Yeah, there
exactly,
you go.
Exactly.
Always an option too, and that is, I believe, homeschooling has increased dramatically just in the past 10 years. But the thing is, I think it's getting worse in the United States, because the very far religious right, excuse me, is losing footing. It's losing steam. It's losing support. I mean, you can already look. The argument against gay marriage
I agree with you.
The argument against gay marriage was a religious issue. Well, 36 states now have disagreed with that.
Right.
And that was not happening 20 or 25 years ago.
All right, so where do these Bible thumpers get off with the fact of dictating to me?
Because they're losing.
That's when I think you hit it.
They're
right
losing.
There. Yeah,
I think that's right. I think that when people who have been in power, any kind of power, but particularly a power tied to religious beliefs, really feel their grip slipping, they flail around and they make even more outrageous statements. They try to overreach.
Yeah,
in fact, they try to overreach. I think Fred's dead on.
But
try to get them to explain a Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton.
Yeah, I know. They're saying that according to some of the religious, the ultra, I call them Bible thumpers. I don't know what everybody else the hell calls them, but I call them Bible thumpers. They're going by the actual book, okay? From the time that this divine authority, this super being created the world to now, guess what? They're saying it's only a little over 6,000 plus years old.
I'll share this very quickly with the both of you and our audience. I once worked at a very religious, Jewish, but very religious school, deeply religious, very ultra-Orthodox. And I remember having this precise discussion with the head of the school, the principal of the school. And he looked at me about the question of evolution and all of this, and he looked at me and he said, I feel very comfortable in saying we don't have to know exactly how, I just have to know who. As long as I can feel, he said to me, comfortable that it is the God of the universe, I don't have to worry about whether Genesis is literal or not. But I just have to know who did it.
What's going to happen, if all these Bible thumpers come to find out, hey, I'm wrong, it was the Big Bang, we're here by accident, There's no afterlife. We don't know if there's an afterlife or not. The only way you're going to find it out is if you die. All right, but the human psyche is always going to question religion. They're always going to question, is there a supreme being, or did we just simply, occur by accident? It makes me wonder. And what George Carlin in his segment kind of indicates that, we are so in tune to wanting to believe in something greater than us. But what if there isn't? What if we're being a literally fed a plate of bullshit? What happens?
You bring up George Carlin, and it reminds me of the great old comedian Lenny Bruce, whose Religions Incorporated bit in the 1960s really, I think, presaged Carlin's. And one of the things he asked his audience is, what if all the guys, because you reminded me of this, Bob, when you just said what you said, what if Lenny Bruce said, what if all the heads of all the major religions got up on a stage on TV worldwide, and they said, ladies and gentlemen, we've been in secret conference for a month, and we've decided we were wrong. There really is no God. Thank you very much. Good night. And then Lenny asked his audience, do you think people would change their behavior the next morning? And Lenny's point was, no, people would begin to act the same way. They'd simply say, oh, those people, we just need new heads of our religion. They're crazy. Of course we have to be exactly who we've always been.
And Leslie seems to have joined us back. Leslie, I know you've missed a lot of the conversation, but, I want to bring you back in on this, and I hope you've heard the program in some way or another. We've been touching on the fact that religion in and of itself is something there to appease us, to make us feel good, and all these like Jimmy Swaggart, like I said with the PTL, I forget what the hell his name was, Jimmy Baker, and Tammy Faye. Oh yeah, I can't forget that clown. Man, she would put on the makeup. I swear she was a clown. But anyhow, for going those two, is that they're reaching into the human psyche and saying, "You got to help us. You got to help us. We need this huge donation." But yet, there are people out there, legitimate concerns, that have these fundraising events, yet they can't raise the millions of dollars, let alone like with Fred. He can't even raise $1,000, and yet he's out there disseminating the truth. But yet you get millions of people who are willing to open their pocketbooks up endlessly to support a philosophy of an invisible entity. What are we doing wrong? Leslie. I guess he's not here.
You know what? Here's what we're doing wrong. Here's what we're doing wrong, Bob. We are perpetrating the fraud. There is a fraud that is going on where you have, and I'm not even going to call them preachers. You have people that have economical knowledge that have made themselves called by God. And they sit back and they perpetrate this heinous crime, and I'm going to say it just like that because it's a crime, anytime that you take religion knowing that money is spoke about more in the Bible than anything else.
Yeah, money is the root of all evil. I mean,
understand the invisible feeling.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, and when you put these two equations together, when you put the two equations together with our imperfections, and you get these people that only want money, they go into it in the first place for money. If you look at the background, they were hustlers, pimps, they were liars, they were salesmen.
But they got God. But they got God, Leslie.
And they are praying.
But the thing is, Leslie, they got God.
Oh no, they don't have God.
What do they have?
Oh, listen, that's the lie. See, that's the lie they tell us, huh? They have themselves and the almighty dollar.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think, you know,
They go in it.
you know, the thing is we hear over and over again, and Leslie brought up a very good point, is that I don't know how many times throughout the Bible, and I don't know how many times throughout the Torah or whatever, money is spoke as a evil. Well, it is an evil. I mean, come on, you got mega corporations buying up radio stations and disseminating the what they want to hear. But the thing, but I want to stay with the religion factor in this, is that, you know, here religion is getting all of this money. You know, they can perpetrate probably the biggest fraud, the biggest scam on the American people and worldwide, and yet you have legitimate in people. You have legitimate, you know, small industries that are trying to raise money. They're doing the best they can, and yet people will overlook that, and including, and I'm going to include the Starcom radio network, because we depend 90% of our funding on donations. You know, Fred does, Jonathan does. You know, Leslie, I'm sure you're looking for funding as well. But it seems we who are disseminating the truth and awareness cannot generate enough to buy a cup of coffee. Where the hell are we doing wrong?
We're not promising them an eternal life.
I don't intend to promise you an eternal life.
Right, but they are, and the people who are giving them mega millions need someone to promise them an eternal life.
Well,
I think that's basically it.
We're not.
Well, now watch this, John. John.
Yeah.
Watch this, John. They're not even promising eternal life. They're promising if you give out of your pocket that you will receive a blessing, that the window of heaven will just open up and money will fall out the sky. I like to be truthful about this, only because I am one that stands in a pulpit. I am a pastor. I am a small-time preacher that has been banned, shunned, and looked down upon from mainstream preaching.
Yeah, but the thing...
There is a mainstream, we may not realize it, there is a mainstream to religion.
Yes, but
there is a council that gets together and they plot against the people.
If you've been condemned, Les, I'm betting I don't know you very well yet, but I'm betting that if you've been condemned for your preaching, it's because the big boys know that you know what their game is.
Well, here's the other thing that I want to interject here. You know, it seems that all these mega churches say, you know, open your pocketbook up, you know, give and give. Give me your house, give me your car, give me your airplane, give me your life, and you got a pathway to heaven. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. You know, guys, you know, like I said, I'm not a religious person, but, you know, here's my question. Didn't it say somewhere in the Bible you don't get to heaven on good deeds alone? I mean, come on. Where the hell are these people doing it?
Yes.
You have to learn how to fish.
And you know what? I'll tell you what. Here's what it is. And I'm going to put it out there just like this. I'm going to expose the hypocrite right here today on your show, Bob. I'm going to expose the hypocrites because it needs to be done. We have a lot of churches, a lot of the mega churches, believe it or not, they have an application process that asks their members, how much do you make? You have stipulations and guidelines, and do you agree to sit back and follow these guidelines in order to be a member of this establishment? Because we must...
You know, the thing is they want the money. That's what it boils down to. And then this is what I'm saying, is all along, even though religion may have initially, way back in the early beings of the human race, when we lost Leslie again, but way back in the earliest of, the human beings, we needed something to fall back onto to make us feel good because, you know, we had saber-toothed tigers out there, there were dinosaurs out there were unknown perils, so we had to come up with this belief system, and I want to call it that. We had to come up with this. So here now you have the development of religion, and it's carried on, and today it is becoming more of a bottom line than what it was initially done. So the ongoing issue with people is, was religion, I shouldn't say was religion, but is there really, and this is going to be a question that I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack over, but is there in reality a super being, or did we simply create this to make us feel better about ourselves?
Well, it wasn't just created to make us feel better about ourselves. Religion is, and in my opinion, religion is a form of control. You write this book and you write these 10 commandments, and if you do this, you're going to go to hell. That's control.
I don't have any doubt that the originators of most religions were sincere. But the point I would also make is that I don't think human beings in general are any less in need of being told that there's a great by and by. I mean, look, the greatest quote on this ever is from the old blues man Mississippi Slim, is it not? You all know the quote, everybody want to go to heaven, nobody want to die. Everybody want to go to heaven, nobody want to die. I mean, that's it. And the fact is, if Mississippi Slim could have said that in 1934, it means that right now, in 2015, the fears and anxieties of the human being in general are very much the same as when there were the saber-tooths roaming around, when we were not predators, but when we were the predated, that is, when they were going after us, the animals. It's the same. I don't think we've changed as a human race that much. We still need that stuff, and that's why good men like Leslie Jackson here, who is a man of God, who is a man of real spirituality, gets so exercised and frankly angry, you can hear it in his voice, people, that people are exploiting the pure decency of what he believes in order simply to rake it in.
Okay, here's the thing too. When I was growing up, we were always told there are two things in life you can count on: death and taxes. All right, where does religion fall into this? Because all of a sudden we're hearing religion coming into our politics. We're hearing it come onto the street corner. Given the geopolitical scheme of things, all of a sudden we're coming close to quote unquote Armageddon. We're hearing all this. Death and taxes. That's what I was raised on. Death and taxes. Them are two things you can see. You're gonna die. You're gonna end up paying taxes. Where the hell does it say I got to believe in a invisible being who needs my money?
Nowhere.
Jonathan, you want to tackle that one?
Well, I mean, clearly there is nothing in the three major Near East religions, and there's certainly nothing in Buddhism, the Far East religions, or Taoism, nothing in any of those religions that tie spirituality to money. Nothing. If Jesus, and in fact Jesus said not only, Bob, what you were saying that he said, but he said, you know what? If your message, he says to his disciples at one point, because I think Bob knows this, but Leslie and Fred don't. I've taught courses on comparative religion, Judaism, and Christianity. Jesus at one point says, if your message isn't heard in one town, shake the dust off your sandals, move on to the other town. You don't waste your time. Maybe you'll double back later, and maybe they'll be more interested in hearing what you say. But he didn't tie anything, Jesus nor Moses nor the Buddha, they didn't tie anything to the raising of money Nothing. Their notion of God, that's why I used the word pure when I was talking about Leslie a few moments ago. I'm willing to bet my bottom buck that Leslie does not tie his sense of the spiritual to anybody else's income.
You know, the other thing I want to bring up here too, folks, is, you know, we're hearing about so many quote unquote churches, preachers, you know, all this coming up. And, you know, I hate to do this, but I've got to, because I hold the degree. There are places out there that for $10, $20, you can send into this organization. In fact, one of them I'm going to peg right here. It's called the Universal Life Church. You send them $20, you get your degree that legalizes you, and it is perfectly legal under law. You know,
I
every
have
state,
one, Bob.
right? That you become a ordained minister. Okay,
I am.
You know, and so am I. I did it as a kind of a stunt, but I did get
Me
one.
too.
You know, so here I am, an ordained minister who fails to believe in this divine authority, and yet, you know, I'm wondering how many of these people out there are using that document in an effort to not only scam people about money, but how many actually have succeeded in making their parishioners believe that I am the voice of this divine, invisible being. I mean, and they're being suckered into it, but when reality faces, and like I said earlier, legitimate organizations are out there disseminating the truth, can't raise one nickel. What, you know, this is what I want to get at, guys. What the hell are we doing wrong? Because we are disseminating the truth, and none of us have a jet.
Well, because we don't promise anything cushy and comfortable. Okay, what we talk about is self-reliance and challenging the status quo, and that's not comfortable. That's the ugly truth. And
Fred makes a great point there. I mean, everybody knows by now that Fred and I disagree on a lot of different specific politics, and yet what we agree on is the notion that you have to be self-reliant, you have to be an activist, you have to choose to live a life of being a little bit less comfortable in order to get the vision of the world that you want. And that's exactly what these guys don't promise. They say, send me money, I'm going to make you feel real nice and cozy as if you never left your mama's womb.
Yeah, Leslie, go ahead. I'm glad you're back.
Let's not say that. Here's what they promise. They promise if you send me money, you're going to be guaranteed that the windows of heaven are just going to make it rain.
Yeah, but isn't that a lie?
That is on the street.
Isn't that a lie, Lord Leslie?
And they acknowledge, because people are losing hope. They're losing hope in everything, so they're easy to manipulate. And you have these vultures, you have these eagles that sit up on the nest, and they swoop down upon the very fibers and prey upon the weak-minded. And this is why religion is so torn down amongst the American people above all, because this is look at ISIS. And I hate to bring them in, but they are saying that they are radical Muslims. They are doing what they're doing because they really believe in their hearts that their religion has told them to do this.
And the thing is, though, Leslie, is that if you look in the Quran, and we had Dr. Nakvi on here, we've had IQ Al-Razuli on my show many times, and when Dr. Nakvi was brought up that he is what he considers himself as a converted Muslim. But when he was asked very specifically, I don't remember if it was myself or Ed Till, but one of us asked him very specifically, would you renounce jihad? Because it states that in the Quran. Dr. Naqvi said no. So the question is, if you're following this, the rules and regulations of this divine, invisible, whatever, why are we so in tune with saying, this is my life, this is what I want in my life, when yet you have the jihad? You've seen it even in our Bible. I mean, come on, give me a break, guys. We all know the 10 Commandments. Every one of us has heard of them. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not fornicate. I mean, come on, get real. If thou shalt not kill, we're all condemned already, because at one point in time or another, we've killed people through either our words or by war or something. You've always killed either a person's spirit, you killed an ideology, you've killed something. So, no matter what we're looking at, is religion not just some way of saying, I'm sorry, I have to have something to make me feel better? What is it?
Maybe human beings are just still in our infancy.
And Bob, I'm going to try to address that to the best of my ability. What we forget, and we tend to forget this, is that every man will live according to his own interpretation. We all have a higher power, whether we admit it or not. We all sit back, and every now and then we know that there are forces and things that are there that we can't explain, but yet it warned us and told us. It does not say be tricked or fooled by man. Matter of fact, it says don't put your trust in men. And we have to realize preachers are men.
Right.
Some of their motives are not good.
Exactly. That you made a very good point there. Preachers are human beings, but yet it seems that people are focusing on the person and not the message. But granted, religion may be a way of making people feel good, and this is a subject that could probably go on for hours and hours. Like I said, guys, when we first started out, this is one of the taboos you never talk about at the dinner table, because you're going to get opposing viewpoints, and you're hearing it here. But the question that I still want to come back to is, when people disseminate the truth and are trying to raise money, they can't. But when people disseminate a belief on an invisible entity, they are raising millions and millions of dollars to buy into an eventual corrupt empire. So what do we as journalists need to do to be able to raise the bar, to bring our message to the same standard, or do we have to go above that and to raise necessary funds to keep us on the air? What are we doing wrong? What's the difference between religion and disseminating the truth?
Well, religion is...
Bob, I'm going to answer that for you. I'm going to answer it for you real quick.
We lost Leslie again. Go ahead, Fred.
I don't know that there's anything we can do. We're going to find a minority of the people out there that are actually welcome and interested in what we do. The majority of the masses, I'll say, they're going to look for what's easy or what's comfortable or what's cushy. This is why Hollywood makes billions of dollars. People, they want fantasy, they want fun, they don't want to hear the truth, because the truth is not comfortable. It's not fun. It isn't, it's a tough road.
All right.
I mean, when you point out the fallacies and the lies coming out of DC, or you point out the lies that are coming out of religion, you're challenging people's belief system and you're challenging their comfort zone, and they're going to reject that.
All right, Jonathan, I'll give you the last word here. Go ahead.
Oh, I think that Fred has it right, and you don't have to agree politically to know. Fred and I disagree a lot politically, and you and I do too sometimes, Bob, and yet you don't have to. That's not surprising, because people, what we tell people every day is about how we believe they can help get off their duffs and make the world, their world, the American world, the world out there, a little bit better each week, to try to bring, as I say on my show, just a little more justice into our worlds every week, if we can, every day. But that means exactly what Fred just said, getting a little bit less worried about being a little bit less comfortable in these pie in the sky notions. And if I'm selling pie in the sky, unfortunately, it's just still part of the human infant's nature, and we are in our infancy, I think, as a species, to just want that so bad we're willing to part with our paychecks.
All right, with that, I hate to do this, guys, but we've got to end it right there. You know, a couple things I want to remind everybody about. Number one, on Tuesday, I will not be here, so they're going to be airing a best of. You can hear Passionate Justice tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Time. You can hear Fred Brower and the Fred Brower Report on Tuesday. I hope I got it right. At 4 p.m. And, of course, coming up here Monday, the debut of Open Talk with Leslie Jackson. It'll debut at 5 p.m. on a Monday. What can I tell you, folks? It's time for me to get out of here. Stay tuned, because coming up next, right after NPR News, Ed Till will be with you all the way till 4 o'clock. Until Monday, 6 a.m., this is Bob Williams. Take care of yourselves.